Welcome to the Lake Chapala Society Annual General Meeting 2020. We're about to begin our meeting. Just a reminder, everyone should remain on mute during the meeting. Also, all video should be off. This helps with bandwidth, reception, and less confusion on the screen. Thank you very much. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the president of the Lake Chapala Society, Carol Wolf.
Thank you. Okay, as president, I would like to call this meeting to order. As there is not 50% of the membership present at this moment, we will take a short recess for 30 minutes. And during this time, and not as an official part of the meeting, there will be a presentation of the plans for the eventual opening of our campus. I think you will be impressed with the tremendous amount of work our team have put together with these plans in keeping with our Constitution. We will reconvene the meeting at 10:30.
Thank you very much, Carol. I'm going to go through two things in this informal part. This is not part of our official agenda, but I'll be going through two elements that we think is important to cover. One is using Zoom itself, and the second is the opening plans for the Lake Chapala Society. Alfred, if you can take us forward 2 slides. Sure. One more. The wonderful part about Zoom is it allows far more people to participate. So far, we have 93 people that are live on this Zoom site. If we'd held the meeting in person, we would have been limited to just 50 people. So this has allowed more people to be involved, including more than a dozen people from the United States and a half dozen people from Canada who have joined in today. Of course, technology also has its challenges that go with it, and we need to deal with this new normal, new reality, as we try to learn all these new tools that we're using that are really great tools. If you miss anything during this meeting, the entire meeting is being recorded, and within 24 hours will be posted online between our website, our YouTube channel, and through Facebook. Again, we remind everyone to stay on mute with your video off. All voting will take place on your screen. A ballot will come up and you'll vote based upon the motion. The use of chat. So on your screen, you'll be able to see a chat button, and all chats should be directed to Deanna Ayala. She will be the only one monitoring chat. This is a postponed AGM from our original March date, so we're sticking with the original agenda that was posted at the end of January. The Constitution of the Lake Chapala Society and the Mexican law does not allow changes or new items for voting. So on the screen, we can see the voting ballot. These are just some sample questions, obviously. So a first ballot question might be, do you like ice cream? Yes or no? And you choose the dot next to your answer. That's a one answer only type question. In the case of multiple answers, which would be for our election of our directors at large, it would ask you, have you visited any of these cities? And it lists a group of cities here. Obviously, our candidates would be listed, and you'd vote for up to 6 candidates there. Then once you've done voting, it's very important that you hit the submit button at the bottom of your screen, or your vote will not be counted. Also, somewhere on the screen, you should see a little microphone with the word mute under it and a red line through it. That means you are muted. If the red line is through it, you are muted. Next to that, you'll probably see a video camera. It says start video. Again, that should remain with the red line through it, so your video should be off. Somewhere, probably in the middle of your screen on the bottom or the top, you'll see a chat button. By touching on the chat feature, you will also see a white box open where it says chat box over there, and then 2 right now on my screen, it shows everyone. However, you'd be able to scroll down to Deanna Ayala and choose her and type your message where it says type message here. Those are the key elements you'll need for this meeting. And so now, Alfredo, if we can go on to the next slide. Now we want to talk a little bit about the opening of Lake Chapala Society. There's been a lot of things going on during these months that we've been closed. Our board of directors have been working very aggressively with lots of meetings, more than weekly, lots of homework to do to make plans for our safer opening of our campus. The process for opening involved applying online through the state of Jalisco. They only opened certain business sectors at a time. Our business sector is the nonprofit sector. We were one of the last phases to be opened up, and we applied as soon as we were able to, as soon as we were allowed to. We have obtained our opening permit, and now it's up to the board to take the next steps in the process. When we open, we'll be opening up in phases. The first phase will be really focused on allowing members on campus, anyone registered for a class for that particular day. And then if you have a family member or another guest you'd like to bring with you for that day, you can pay 40 pesos for a one-day pass to bring them on the campus with you. We'll only have 2 gates open in the initial phase. That will be the front main gate and the rear back gate, what we're calling the Lakeside Gate. There will be greeters at both gates that'll greet you as you arrive. They'll take your temperature using an infrared thermometer and offer you hand sanitizer and ensure that you have a mask. Now, if you don't have a mask, they will have, hopefully you've been wearing it to get to LCS, but if you happen to forget it at home or in your car, we will have masks for sale at our entrance. We've also added one much needed additional restroom next to the Ken Gosh Pavilion and some hand washing options around the campus. Our set policy will be no entrance without a mask. And we will not allow entrance if you will not allow your temperature to be taken. We want to be protective and conscientious of everyone. Next screen, please, Alfredo. Obviously, we're asking everyone to respect appropriate distancing. No handshaking, no hugging or kissing on our campus. Now we know that the one thing Mexico is famous for is the tremendous embrace that we all enjoy so much. But in this early phase, we ask people to refrain from that option. If you need to cough or sneeze, please protect your cough by coughing into your elbow, into a handkerchief or a tissue. Our housekeeping and gardening staff have been very busy over these months, not only maintaining the wonderful rich gardens that we have, but also sanitizing the campus as well. And as we move forward, we'll have more housekeeping staff, making sure that every surface is cleaned after its use. We have installed sneeze guards in key desk areas where people have face-to-face interaction. So that would be our membership desk, our customer service desk, the info tent, and the library. Sneeze guards are that clear plastic that you see in banks and also see in many retail stores these days. We'll allow a limited number of people in the office at a time. We'll use a number system similar to a bakery or a deli, where you pick a number when you show up and your number will be paged when it's safe for you to enter into the office, I'm sorry. We have increased meeting spaces around the campus for more outdoor spaces. Indoor space meetings will be very, very limited. We're trying to move almost all meetings into outdoor spaces in our first phase. Space capacities for each area have also been limited. As far as seating at tables, whether it be in the cafe, the blue patio, or elsewhere on our campus, for the standard size tables we have on campus, it will be 2 people per table. When meetings are taking place, it'll be pretty obvious they're having a meeting in a gazebo area or in front of the mural or the patio or one of the other areas. We ask that everybody refrain from approaching that meeting and to ask them for directions. This is a meeting that's taking place. They need privacy, but they also need to continue with their meeting with limited interruption. In the earlier phases, many of the classes from the Wilk Center will be moved to outdoor spaces on our main campus. Right now, plans for the ESL classes are pending when schools reopen. As far as our exercise classes, we know many of you have been so generous in sharing your exercise mat with others that didn't have one. We ask, though, in this period of time, that you bring your own exercise mat and not share with others. Likewise, no sharing of water bottles. We also ask that when you leave the campus from your exercise class, you take that mat with you. And any bottles, please do not leave partial bottles of water laying around. It's best to either throw them away or take them with you. May we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So here's some of the highlights and the main points. The main campus will open first. We'll only have two entrances, the main entrance in the corner and the lakeside entrance. The Wilkes will open in a later phase. The office and library, assuming we have sufficient volunteer coverage, will be amongst the first things to open. There'll be smaller classes and outdoor spaces. Outside groups will follow proper guidelines. As far as the ATM and the gardens, they'll be open and available to people, and housekeeping will keep an eye on wiping down touch surfaces. Our online classes, since we closed down, we've held over 200 online classes. Those classes will also continue. Next slide, please, Alfredo. As far as the library is concerned, we have a process in place for the library. The way it will work is people will go online on our website, the Lake Chapala Society, where you can research all books. Make a list at home of the books that you would like to gain from the library. Take that list, type it into an email, and send it to the library email address that we will provide on the website. The volunteers in the library will package those books for you and have them ready with your name on them. When you send in the email, wait 24 hours before you come to the campus to pick up those books. You'll approach the library door where there'll be a counter across the door with a sneeze guard on it. They'll ask your name or show your membership card. They'll issue your books to you. They'll already be prepackaged for you. You'll take them home and enjoy them as much as you'd like. We're waiving all late fees during this initial fee period of time. So please feel free to read these books at your leisure. When you return the books to the campus, there'll be a box outside the library door. You'll drop those books that you're returning right into that box, or if it's after hours, in the traditional book drop slot on the side of the office. We'll label these boxes at the end of the day with that day's date, and we'll hold the boxes for 72 hours before we open the boxes and reshelf those books. The volunteers restocking books, and also issuing books will have available to them latex disposable gloves. And as I said before, there'll be no late fees during this period of time. Next slide, please, Alfredo. During our open phase, the hours may be adjusted, and when we send out an email, post on our Facebook page, or post in other areas, we'll post what the new hours will be during our initial phase. The main campus gardens will be open, the library, and the customer service and membership offices. Classes, the Spanish classes, and other classes that are more or less a dozen people or less will be held on campus in outdoor spaces. Our wonderful Rachel McMillan, that many of you know, has actually taken her very famous Intro to Lakeside classes, and she's created an online version of that is starting up this week and will continue. She'll also continue with her in-person classes when the time is right. As far as our Prueba and PEP classes, those will start as the audience and the instructors become comfortable and can be properly handled. The other possible activities we'd really love to get going in our early phase is the blood pressure service, mindfulness, low impact exercise, games, card games, board games with a limit to 2 people per table, discussion groups that keep social distancing in a small groups, and tech classes. We also have several outside groups and individuals who pay rent to use our services. our space on the campus. That's the Lakeside AA, Al-Anon group, the Toastmasters group, a nursing school, then the services we all really love, legal, insurance, hearing, and eye clinics. These people will be welcome back on campus as long as the proper protocols are maintained, as well as some of the other support programs we have. And the next slide, please, Alfredo. You might be able to see, depending upon the device you're on. Now, the bigger the device you're on, so if you're on a desktop computer, you'll be able to see more. If you're on a tablet, maybe a little bit less. If you're on a smartphone, then it's going to be hard to see some of the slides that we show today. However, most of what's on the slides will be part of the conversation as well. So you'll be able to enjoy the conversation, the audio, and then if you wish, you can go on our website in the next 24 hours and we'll have the full video posted where you can watch it at your convenience. Next slide, please. This shows an example of the seating where there'll be a limit of 2 chairs per table for our standard square tables. We ask people to respect that and keep it to just 2 chairs per table. For the bigger tables, we'll have 4 chairs for groups of 4. Next slide, please. Another committee that's been very busy ever since our campus closed is our volunteer steering committee. This is a dedicated group of volunteers who've been working every single week and doing lots of homework before and after their meetings. They've produced a volunteer handbook and a volunteer orientation session. Our first volunteer orientation is tomorrow with some of our volunteer managers. We'll review the handbook with them, get their input, make additional edits and changes as needed, and then we'll produce the handbook, have it posted on our website, and emailed out to all of our participants, all of our volunteers. One of the things about the changes that need to take place, changes beyond our control, is something called change management. There's a change curve that is a very standard part of change management. Change always begins with shock, denial, moving on to anger, bargaining, maybe depression, hostility, eventually acceptance, then problem solving, and the integration. This is a standard part of all change. I worked with the American Cancer Society previously as a regional VP, and we underwent a major change in our organization. And we hired a company named McKinsey, a consulting firm, many of you may know, and they came in, and they're the ones that introduced me to this change management slide. And it was a major change we went through there, but we got through it. And the slide was so consistent with the change process. Now I'd like to move on to the maps of our campus. So as we open up, our campus has been split into 2 sections. This is for the housekeeping and gardening purposes. We're asking our housekeepers and gardeners to each take a pride of ownership of their own section so that they can maintain things. This allows them to have good distance from one another as well. So this is zone 1, where we've also added some additional seating areas. And then on the next map, we'll see zone 2. The lakeside patio, this is an area that's just as you come in the back gate. That used to be, well, first, as Danielle, my good friend Danielle from the Children's Art Program will tell us, originally that was all mud back there, the poor children there on Saturday having to deal with the mud. Then we graveled over it, but it still was cumbersome to walk on, and if somebody fell, the gravel could hurt them. We have put tile over this whole lakeside patio, which has allowed it to be used now for more activities. So exercise classes, in essence, could take place there during the week, as well as other meetings with more privacy. And the next slide, please. We all know that in this challenging times for all of us, that there is no such thing as being 100% safe. I've been saying from day one that I believe that there are no right answers at this point in time. They're just answers that we can all try to work through and get along. So we will have a public notice posted around the campus reminding people that there is risk of exposure wherever people come together. And we just need to accept and understand that. Everyone will have to decide for themselves what their comfort level is. Some people will want to stay home, maybe for quite some time to come. a vaccine is probably not going to be readily available for quite a while. Even when it is approved and put in place, there's the whole manufacturing, the distribution plan, figure out who has priority over getting the vaccine in what order. So there's a lot of challenges to that. So really it's about people making decisions for themselves. When I worked in mental health, we'd call it harm reduction. You have to value what level of harm you're willing to take, but always keep in mind that this harm also can impact other people. That's why, once again, our requirements on campus masks must be worn at all times. Temperature checks will be done on everyone entering our campus. We ask everybody to practice proper hygiene. And if you're not feeling well, please stay home. Even if it's just a headache or a cough, even if you think it's not COVID, please take a day to take care of yourself by staying home. Frequent hand washing, and of course, the physical distancing is extremely important. We have a lot of things, as you can see, going on our campus. And right now it's 10:21, so we have a few more, 10:22 now. We have a few more minutes to go before we're able to officially start our meeting. So I'd like to share this slide with you. This is our mural in our children's area that is sort of really a major landmark for this organization. And the wonderful book by Neil James, Dust on My Heart. When once the dust of Mexico has settled upon your heart, you cannot then find peace in any other land. So many of us have found that to be so true. During this time, we've been closed, but even in the months before we closed, for those that were on campus, you would have seen the tremendous amount of work we were doing. For the Neil James House in particular, the restoration has been extremely important to us. We value that as one of our historical landmarks. The veranda along the side of the house, the roof was in very poor condition. There were some major cracks in there. And thanks to Michael Pumphrey, who managed the repair of that area, we've put a brand new roof over that area. When the contractor came to take a look at it and give us an estimate, he put a ladder up, put 1 foot on the roof. Just before he put his weight on there, a chunk of roof fell down. So this was pretty amazing to us. We were very fortunate that that didn't cause serious damage with anyone. Also, the floor in the veranda area had major cracks in it and different levels of flooring where the root from the major tree, the fabulous Neil James tree, had really expanded underneath the flooring and cracked it. We repaired all that area. So there's a new floor and a new roof on the veranda of the Neil James house. There was areas of mold and mildew throughout the walls in the house, and we've gone through and cleaned those up as well. There was a bathroom that had been turned into an old storage area for the housekeeping staff, and we've cleaned that up, getting rid of all the mold and mildew. We've put new bathroom fixtures in there. So that's an added bathroom for the public to use, which will be extremely helpful for open circle sessions on Sunday morning when they resume. On the topic of open circle, we've had several meetings in our early days of closing with the steering committee for Open Circle, and we're discussed with them the future of Open Circle. Now, it's a tremendous undertaking to put Open Circle on each week, and a group of volunteers dedicated so many hours over so many years to make Open Circle the wonderful experience that it is, with really key professional speakers and presenters coming in and presenting on their different topics. When Carol Wolf and myself met with the steering committee, we all came to agreement that that would come under the umbrella of Lake Chapala Society going forward. They were thrilled and happy that we would agree to take it on. It's one of my pet projects, something that I know Carol and I both love. We're not sure when we'll be able to hold those sessions and other large sessions like that in person going forward. But we do look forward to that happening in the months ahead. We also will be working with some of our other programs, meetings that need audio-visual equipment in order to present their meeting, and finding ways that that can be done successful in some of the outdoor spaces, the shaded areas, under tents, or when necessary and when a group is small enough, in one of the meeting rooms. But this is a process. The whole opening of Lake Chapala Society will be a process. We do hope to have more news that we can put out to all of our members in the weeks ahead as the board reconvenes and starts working on our actual opening plan and an opening date. We imagine it'll be a slow start. We know that not everybody's going to be willing to come back right from the beginning. We understand that, and we appreciate that, and we respect that. We want to meet people where they are. And for those that are comfortable coming on campus and following the procedures we put in place to try to keep it as safe as possible, we appreciate and thank you very much for all of your support and your help. And now I'd like to turn to my good friend Carol Wolf, the president of Lake Chapala Society, who will get us back on track with the official part of the meeting. As I say, this was the unofficial part of the meeting because it wasn't on agenda. And a couple of quick reminders before we do that. Remember that only active paid members may participate in the voting process. We do have a couple people online here today that are monitoring the meeting and watching the meeting, and that's wonderful. But as far as voting, you must be a paid active members, and the auditors will be checking that. Now, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to my good friend and the president of the Lake Chapala Society, Carol Wolf, who will continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. In compliance with the Mexican law and our Constitution guidelines allowing for an alternate convene the official business of our annual general meeting. The order of the day as originally presented back in February is 1, call to order. 2, establishment of a quorum. 3, adoption of agenda. 4, adoption of minutes, the annual general meeting minutes of March 19, 2019 AGM. Number 5, president's report. 6, ratification of the 2019 financial report. 7, receipt of the 2020 budget projections. Number 8, receive report from the internal financial auditor for 2019 and ratify appointment of external auditor for 2020. Number 9, ratification of membership categories and dues. Number 10, ratification of reserve fund deposit. Number 11, election of board officers and directors at large. Number 12, granting power of attorney. Number 13, LCS 2.0, which will accomplish major accomplishments in 2019. And number 2, priorities for LCS 2.0 in 2020-21. 14, adjournment. Now I turn it back over to Steve.
Now I'd like to ask you to vote in the poll. Carol made the motion. It was seconded by a chat message by Larry Barnhart. Vote yes if you agree to adopt the agenda, and nay if you disagree. Please vote now and hit submit after you've voted. And we're about to close the polls. Thank you very much. I'll share the poll with you. And on the screen, we have 100% A's, and the total count for that is, Alfredo? 93. 93. Thank you very much for voting. We'll stop the sharing of the screen at this point in time. And now I turn it over to George Radford, the Secretary of the Board.
I move that the membership acknowledge the receipt of the minutes of the annual general meeting of March 2019 as approved by the Board of Directors. Do I have a second for that motion?
George has made the motion, and Carol Wolf has seconded it. You'll see the ballot on your screen. Please choose A or nay, and remember to hit submit at the bottom after you've voted. All right, we're about to close the poll. Thank you very much for voting. And on the screen, you can see the result of that poll as I share the screen. And the ayes have it. Thank you very much for voting. And now I'll turn it back to the president, Carol Wolf.
Good morning. It's a thought today, before we start, from a noted Canadian poet and novelist, Margaret Atwood. She says, "It's the best of times. It's the worst of times. Make the best of it." Members and friends of the Lake Chapala Society, while we were planning for this AGM this past March, we had great expectations. You as members and our board and staff, not a curveball, the COVID-19 pandemic. It is now August 20th and a whole new venue, Zoom. It could fit a John Lennon quote, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." So in a special way, it has created new opportunities for the Lake Chapala Society. Looking around you, you find the Zoom meeting has more than almost 200 members to gather for a very important meeting that is held once a year to show the navigation of the society during the past year. And you have created a record-breaking AGM attendance. This is the start of a new normal, don't you think? Greater participation in the course of our continuous growth as a society and that well-being of our community. So to you members and friends, what has brought this fruition is that during this pre-COVID and my term of presidency, years as secretary, and the many engagements with LCS, our board took action, which during my 4 years as secretary, assisted with the development from Terry Vidal, the past executive director, members and volunteers, Heidi Masharoff, Raja Masharoff, Lynn Powell, and Deb Holden, developed a very strong database to better communicate to our members and friends. With board commitment after these past 2 years as your president, we were able to produce a 10-year long-range plan that Director at Large Larry Barnett assisted to build collaborations within our community and contribute to the better lifestyle with future plans of campus development to integrate the expats, the Mexican community on this very campus. Well, now in reflection of our times, with a strong base, it has helped the society with our member support. You and friends gave so far this year in annual giving over 1 million pesos in donations to grapple this image of getting over to the other side of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we will still need your support of continuous giving. We all are just like visualizing heading into the libraries for a book possibly, stopping in at the cafe, meeting up and hugging our friends, drinking coffee, sipping wine, just maybe a bit of food, strolling through the Heritage Gardens, headed to a movie in the sala, a lecture or a TED Talk, yoga, a class, needle pushers, children's art, pottery class, and among the many, many, many other activities that are available here on campus. The Lake Chapala Society offers with all my fellow members and friends. So speaking as your president, for the board and the staff, we want you to know that we are here for you and we have been making the best of it. While the impact of COVID-19 is reaching every corner, we at Lake Chapala Society are looking forward to all those things we know we will be here when we reach the other side, our new normal, once the crisis begins to subside. We, you and I, are asking ourselves what we have learned and can do now to ensure the future of the Lake Chapala Society, to extend the legacy of its 65 years history and plan ahead for growth with your support. The board and staff have been focusing on revitalizing our programs and continue adding on online instruction sessions with Alfred Fredo, Director of Education, and his team, Sandy Britton, Michael Goss, and Hunter Johnson, all members and volunteers. Also, we're doing the Reaching Out program with Larry Barnhart, the Board of Directors at Large, and Gloria Barnhart. Volunteer and their team training our volunteers online for a more serviceable organization headed by Barbara Merchant and her team, Sandy Britton, Susan Bancarley, and Gloria Barnhart, improving our communication with members of the community. And thanks to our staff, graphic designer Del Mitsu and Diane Alia, Director of Development, and planned ahead for our reopening orchestrated by the Executive Director, Steve Balfour, which has required new approaches to everything that needs to accommodate the new normal. We have had meetings every week to address issues that include helping our staff keep employed, servicing our community through communication, dating with one-to-one issues, and connecting with local and state governments, officials, and with foreign consulates to keep you informed. Planning our next step in capital through our campus committee under the direction of Howard Felstein, Vice President, and his team for this phase of our development and renovation of our grounds for your future growth. All of us together are needed to get this to the other side, to make sure that the Lake Chapala Society continues serving the community for a greater good for all. It is not circumstances happened. It is how you and I take action, whether it's giving assistance in assisting in the legacy, renewing our membership, or extending a hand for new members, or volunteering. We all make the best of it. That's the most important. And the word adaptivity is a mainstay for the new normal. So with this, I just want to say, I've been honored to be your president these past 2 years. And now I step down as your president and, like you, to continue to make positive actions. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times. Make the best of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. Great job as our president all this time and your years on the board. We now would like to ask our treasurer, Tim Boardman, to present the 2019 financial report.
I hereby present the financial report for 2019, a copy of which was included with the login information for this meeting. LCS finished the year with an operating deficit of 322,373 pesos and had also utilized 403,550 pesos of restricted funds, mainly used on student aid. The deficit resulted largely from the repairs and renovation work done on the campus, including the beautiful Neil James patio shown behind me, and finiquitos paid to retiring staff members. LCS ended the year with a net asset value of 25,468,000 pesos. I hereby move that, in accordance with the Constitution, the audited financial statements for 2019 with accompanying footnotes be ratified by the members as presented. Please vote for the motion on your screen with aye or nay.
And do we have a second? I see a second coming in. Now I'd like to launch the poll. The motion has been moved by Tim Boardman and seconded Brian Dalzell. Please vote yay or nay. And the polls are about to close. Are all votes in? Couple coming in there. All right. Thank you so much. We'll now end the poll and post the results on the screen. We have 90 yeas and 0 nays. The motion is carried. Now, we'd like to continue on with our treasurer for the 2020 budget presentation.
As Treasurer, I hereby present the 2020 budget as approved by the Board, a copy of which was included with the invitation to this meeting. In accordance with the Constitution, the financial projections or budget for the current year must be presented to and received by the members each year at the AGM. This item does not require a motion or a vote. I feel I must note at this juncture that the 2020 budget was finalised in October 2019, prior to COVID, and therefore the expected fiscal results for this year will bear no resemblance to the budgeted figures.
Thank you very much, Tim. This particular report does not require a vote. So now I would like to bring on our Chair of the Audit Committee, Brian Dalzell, for our auditor's report.
Good morning. The LCS Audit Committee and the Board of Directors recommends the appointment of the accounting firm Salsands Grant Thornton to conduct our outside financial audit this year in 2020. This is the same firm that completed our audit work last year in 2019. Therefore, I hereby move that in accordance with the Constitution, the appointment of Grant Thornton be ratified by the membership. I'll ask for a second, and then you will be able to vote on your screen, aye or nay, to ratify the recommended appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. We have a second, Michael Searle, second. So Brian made the motion and Michael seconded it. Please vote on your screen now. Remember to hit submit at the bottom of your screen after you've voted. Looks like the votes have slowed down, so we'll now be closing the poll. Thank you so much for voting. We'll now post the results. And the motion is carried with 89 ayes and 0 nays. Thank you so much for voting. We now go back to the treasurer for his report on dues and the reserve fund.
As Treasurer, I need to deal with 2 items. Firstly, membership categories and dues. The current membership categories and dues are detailed on the LCS website. These rates were set by your Board of Directors and came into effect January 1st, 2020, and were set in accordance with the LCS Constitution. Secondly, the reserve fund. Due to uncertainty caused by COVID, as Treasurer, I made a recommendation to your Board, and your Board agreed that no transfer to the reserve fund be made in the current year. The reserve fund is restricted, according to the LCS Constitution, to the following uses: emergency capital repairs or replacements in excess of 2% of the annual budget, employee severance, or other uses at the discretion of the membership as determined at an AGM or an extraordinary meeting called for that purpose. The accumulated reserve fund of LCS currently stands at 850,000 pesos. In accordance with the Constitution, this AGM is required to ratify your Board's decisions regarding the membership categories and dues and the reserve fund.
Thank you very much, Tim, for the motion. And I have a second. Michael Searles, I have as a second. I'll now be launching the poll. You may vote on your screens now. Please remember to hit submit at the bottom of the screen after you vote. Thank you. And we're about to close the polls. Last second to vote. Anyone? All right, we're now closing the polls. And the results are 89 ayes, 0 nays. The motion is carried. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn to the chair of our nominating committee, who will proceed with the elections of officers and board members for this year. Thank you, Nancy.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today. This year, we are electing a president, secretary, and 4 directors at large to each serve 2-year terms, and 1 director at large to fill the remaining year of a term. The Nominations Committee is proud to introduce to you the candidates for the LCS Board of Directors. Alfredo will now put up the first slide of candidate photos. We will identify each candidate on the screen as their names are called. They are Stephen Irvin Balfour, candidate for a first term as president. George William Radford, candidate for a second term as secretary. Next slide, please, Alfredo. Michael Ross Searles and Richard Joseph Chase are candidates for their first 2-year terms as directors at large. Yolanda Martinez Llamas, who will fill an open position as director at large for the remaining year of that term. We also have Brian Thomas Dalziel and Elizabeth Villaseñor Ramirez, candidates for second terms as directors at large. Thank you. Alfredo, please put up the whiteboard on the screen. I will now ask for any nominations from the floor in the order of board position. To nominate a person from the floor, use the chat feature on your screen. When you click on that chat, you will see names of people who you can send the chat to. Please select Diana Ayala and type in the position title and candidate name only if you wish to nominate someone not previously mentioned. First of all, are there any nominations from the floor for the position of president? If you wish to nominate someone, please use the chat feature now and text the name to Diana Ayala along with the word president. I see that we have no candidates from the floor nominated for president, so I will go on to the next position, which is secretary. Are there any nominations from the floor for the position of secretary? If so, please use your chat feature now to send a text to Deanna stating the name of the person you wish to nominate along with the word secretary. I see that we have no nominations from the floor for secretary. I declare nominations for secretary are now closed. And I neglected to close the nominations for president, so I will do that now. I declare nominations for president are now closed. Are there any nominations from the floor for director at large? Please use the chat feature on your screen and text Deanna the title Director at Large with the name of the person you want to nominate. I see there are no nominations from the floor for Director at Large. I now declare nominations for Director at Large are closed. This makes things much more streamlined today. I would like to make a motion of acclamation, moving that all candidates for uncontested seats, which is all that we have available today, be elected to their positions by acclamation.
In 1 minute.
Those candidates and their positions are President Stephen Irvin Balfour, Secretary George William Radford, Directors at Large Richard Joseph Chase, Brian Thomas Dalziel, Yolanda Martinez Llamas, Michael Ross Searles, and Elizabeth Villaseñor Ramirez. May I have a second, please?
And it looks like we have a second from Alfredo Perez. We'll now launch the poll. The motion made by Nancy Creven and seconded by Alfredo Perez. Please vote on your screen. And we are about to close the poll. If you've not voted, please do so at this moment. We'll now end the poll and post the results. The results are 89 ayes and 0 nays. Motion carried.
Thank you very much. The final thing we need to see to today is another motion to ratify board appointments that were made throughout the year to complete existing terms. These are Howard Feldstein, Vice President, Christy Carter Caldwell, Antoinette Francis Brom, and Larry John Barnhart as Directors at Large. May I have a second, please?
And it looks like we have a second from George Radford. So the motion is moved and seconded by George Radford. I'll launch the poll now. Please vote for the ballot on your screen. I have a few more votes coming in here. We are about to close the polls. The polls are now closed. We'll now share the results. We have 90 ayes and 0 nays. The motion is carried.
Good, thank you very much. We now have 7 members of the new LCS Board of Directors for 2020. Congratulations, everyone. For the official record, the Lake Chapala 2020 board members are President Steve Irvin Balfour, 1 term to 2022. Vice President Howard Feldstein, filling a term to 2021. Secretary George William Radford, filling a 2nd term to 2022. Director Larry John Barnhart, 1st term through 2021. Director Antoinette Frances Brom, 1st term to 2021. Director Christy Carter Caldwell, 1st term to 2021. Director Brian Thomas Dalziel, 2nd term to 2022. Director Michael Ross Searles, 1st term to 2022. Director Elizabeth Villaseñor Ramirez, 1st term to 2022. Director Richard Joseph Chase, 1st term to 2022. And Director Yolanda Martinez Llamas, 1st term to 2021. Continuing in his role as treasurer, Andrew Timothy Boardman. Thank you. I now turn the meeting back over to Steve Balfour.
And thank you so much, Nancy, for being the chair of the nominating committee, which has been meeting for many, many months now because of being closed. They had started for our original date of March. Now we'd like to turn it over to the secretary, George Radford.
The Lake Chapala Society, like all nonprofits, all ACs, is governed by Mexican law at both the federal and the state level. I think you heard that referenced earlier during the meeting. The other key point is that the sole authority for any AC lies with its membership. The membership is the association. The following script is dictated by Mexican code, and basically what it does is to transfer or empower that authority to the executives of the board of directors to carry out both legal and financial activities on behalf of the membership. This is fairly detailed, so I'm just going to read it. I won't attempt to memorize it. According to the Constitution, Section 9.02, this power of attorney is granted to the president, who may reassign it to any of the following: the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, or the executive director. The General Assembly grants to the president of the board of directors to be exercised individually, and to the rest of the board of directors, the vice president, secretary, treasurer, and executive director, to exercise to a minimum of 2 of the integrants general judicial power of attorney, whose management authority, as well as to subscribe, evaluate, and endorse credit titles, open and close sign checks, and make wire transfers in bank and investment accounts, with the authority to grant and revoke powers of attorney. In terms of the Article 2554, 2554 of the Federal Civil Code, and the applicable Article 2207, 2207, and the of the Jalisco Civil Code, and related articles of the remaining Mexican states, with express authority to file injunctions and to file criminal complaints, and to act together with the public prosecutor. The Assembly appoints Stephen Irwin Balfour and George Radford to appear jointly or individually to formalize the agreements of the General Assembly, and to request to set in the notary's protocol 1 sample of the minutes. What that really means is the minutes of the meeting, after being approved by the board of directors at their next meeting, will be translated and protocolized, in other words, recorded in the archives in Mexico City, and become therefore an authoritative record of the General Assembly. I move that the members authorize the board to review the minutes of the annual general meeting of August 20th, 2020 at the next monthly board meeting, which will then include the legal names of those elected to these positions today. Do I have a second to that motion to approve or to authorize the board to approve the minutes?
Thank you very much, George. And we have a second from Christy Caldwell. Would now like to launch the motion on your screen. Please continue voting. Remember, when you're done voting, to submit, hit the submit button at the bottom of the screen. Coming in there. We're about to close the voting now and share the results with you. We have 88 ayes and 1 nay. The motion is now carried. And now I would like to introduce Larry Barnhart, who'll give a presentation on LCS 2.0, the long-range plan for the Lake Chapala Society.
Welcome to LCS 2.0, a comprehensive long-range plan for the Lake Chapala Society. My name is Larry Barnhart. I'm a member of the Board of Directors and Chair of the Community Engagement Committee. Steve and I will be sharing information about LCS 2.0. In late 2018, Terry Vidal, a former executive director, led the effort to create a master redevelopment planning process. President Carol Wolf appointed the chairs and members of standing committees and gave me the opportunity to lead this task force. Initially, this effort was focused on campus expansion, but as the task force met, it was decided to expand our focus on all aspects of LCS, including organizational development, community engagement, program development, campus redevelopment, and fund advancement. After 3 months of reviewing past studies, plans, focus groups, and weekly meetings, this task force created 42 far-reaching goals approved by the Board of Directors in March of 2019 and dubbed LCS 2.0. LCS 2.0 is designed to extend the legacy as an oasis for personal enrichment, socialization, and collaboration throughout Lakeside. This legacy began 65 years ago when 21 members of the foreign community came together to create an organization to serve the needs of both the foreign and Mexican communities. This legacy consists of many milestones, including a post-life emergency registry, periodic bulletins and magazines, a membership directory, being gifted the Neil James Estate, allowing LCS to expand its offerings to offer over 150 programs and events annually, including educational, health, and immigration services. We also have one of the largest English libraries in Latin America. We've also been gifted the Ed Wilkes property, which has become our satellite campus dedicated to the educational needs of the local Mexican community, including English as a second language, the only Spanish library in the area, and much, much more. Today, LCS is the oldest and largest organization of its kind in the world. A major part of the LCS history is that of the Neil James legacy. When she bequeathed her estate to LCS upon her death, it included the children's art program that she began in 1954. This program has created renowned artists such as Efrain Gonzalez, Javier Zaragoza, Jesus Lopez Vega, and many, many more. LCS also inherited the Needle Pushers, a group James formed in 1962 and made up of women who knit, crochet, and sew clothes for poor children throughout Lakeside. In addition, her outreach to the Mexican youth included scholarship programs, English as a second language, and the first library to serve children in the area. LCS is a nationally recognized AC nonprofit with a constitution that is focused on its members and driven by its vision and mission. LCS 2.0 calls this vision and mission our North Star and has aligned our 42 goals in this direction over the next 10 years or so. The overarching themes of LCS 2.0 includes greater integration and collaboration between and among the Mexican and foreign communities, in creating a culture of continuous quality improvement, and expanded use of information technology.
Collaboration has been a part of the LCS legacy and is the very cornerstone of LCS 2.0. When our government leaders want dialogue with the foreign community, they come to LCS. Likewise, when foreigners need a voice at the table, we are the ones that facilitate that dialogue. We have a close working relationship with the U.S. Consulate, the Canadian Consulate, and the Chapala government, as well as the state of Jalisco officials as well. We have facilitated town halls with the transit police at a moment when there were issues in the community. And also, when a fiber optic system was coming to town, we held a town hall on that topic as well. In the very early days of COVID-19, before everyone was providing local information, LCS began sending regular bulletins with accurate and reliable information to both our members as well as to the community. LCS 2.0 extends a legacy that we're uniquely positioned to hold, a role that greatly expands upon collaborations and brings us to all of our shared vision, where all Lakeside residents continually have a role in enriching the community's quality of life, vitality, and prosperity through the exchange of knowledge, expertise, culture, heritage, and language. LCS 2.0 organizational development goals look at all aspects of the organization, from maintaining our grounds and buildings to improved customer service to a state-of-the-art IT system and improved volunteer opportunities. We recently renovated the roof and floor of the Neil James veranda. We have added a restroom and cleaned up walls that had mildew and mold issues, as well as make our customer service office more functional and welcoming. Our dedicated volunteer committee has undertaken the major task of creating a much-needed volunteer handbook and will begin orientations for all volunteers starting tomorrow. We are updating our organizational chart to provide both clarity and flexibility for our team, both paid and volunteers. Through the volunteer orientations, we will solicit input to further expand on this effort. We're also committed to creating a culture of continuous quality improvement and working with our volunteer teams to advance the customer service experience of our members, our volunteers, and all constituents who we engage. We have a keen awareness, appreciation, and understanding of what each person brings to the organization. We value what each person contributes. We are focused on building trust and respect while understanding that different people have different reasons for being involved. And we want to acknowledge every contribution. We are committed to bring benefit to the lives of those we touch.
LCS 2.0 is designed to extend our community engagement legacy, including monthly bulletins that have been transitioned into our Conexiones magazine, an annual membership directory that provides valuable information, including local telephone numbers, yellow pages, embassy contact information, and much more. Conexiones entre Amigo, connections among friends. An informal monthly gathering is designed to create better connection between area businesses and members of the foreign community. During COVID-19, LCS created a reaching out program for members living alone or who desired being in contact with them on a daily basis. This program will continue. We are currently working on the creation of a Mexican Advisory Council made up of people of influence and affluence in the community to advise, assist, and be critical advocates for LCS. Additionally, LCS has taken the reins of a long-running and very popular open circle Sunday morning presentation. As conditions improve, we look forward to continuing this long-standing tradition on our campus. What started with information services and a mosquito abatement program in 1955 has grown to over 150 programs, services, and events held annually. These programs are designed to extend our legacy of personal enrichment and opportunities for people to meet other members through engaging activities including exercise, visual arts, stimulating lectures, Spanish classes, and much more. With COVID-19, many of the programs were suspended, but many were offered online, including Spanish, mindfulness, and tech support. Our popular Introduction to Lakeside program will begin online classes this month. Upon reopening, we will be offering new classes, including a needed emergency and post-life planning class in collaboration with our friends at Cruz Rojo and their Vial of Life program. With a focus on continuous quality improvement, our programs will be continually assessed to assure they remain relevant to our members and the communities we serve.
The LCS 2.0 campus development efforts captured nearly 2 decades of discussions and surveys on expanding the campus beyond the existing buildings we acquired nearly 40 years ago. What you see here is a proposed new lakeside entrance designed by very talented Mexican architect Gustavo Niño and his team, who have been working hand in hand with us for some time. Over the next 10 years, our campus development goals include building a Sala Grande, an expanded art center on the lake side of our campus, and eventually a learning center on the north side of the campus. We continue our commitment to restore to the treasured Neil James residents, along with infrastructure and landscape improvements to maintain the beauty of the grounds that we inherited. And the art center pictured here on the lake side of our campus, with classrooms above, is also proposed by architect Gustavo. With COVID-19, we know that now is not the right time to be putting a shovel in the ground and undertaking a large fundraising effort. However, we are continuing with the planning phase, and we share our architect's rendering for a new art center that we think Neil James would be very proud of. When the time is right, we will refocus on campus redevelopment, and we look forward to further engaging the community in developing a campus that offers the greatest benefit to our members and the community at large. Before COVID-19, our special events, our bus trips, and registration fees for our programs provided 47% of our total budget. This has pretty much dried up over this period, but we continue to move forward. Today, I hope we have made our case for LCS 2.0 as our long-range plan for the Lake Chapala Society. Now to get to the tough part. LCS 2.0 goals focused on fund advancement. Historically, LCS has been a membership organization. This will continue, but we need to expand our initiatives and strengthen our fundraising efforts. Since we closed, our members have overwhelmed us with their generosity in responding to the appeals we have issued. Now, we need to get through the remaining months of 2020. We will be reopening the campus in the phases, but the income streams will be slow at returning. Right now, it takes 340,000 pesos per month to maintain our staff, keep our gardens plush, our grounds beautiful, and to continue our programs, both online and soon back in person. I would like to issue a challenge. We need 340,000 pesos per month for the next 4 months. I wonder if we can find 34 supporters who will be our angels, who will step up and commit to a donation of 10,000 pesos per month through the end of the year. That is about $450 a month. So we can focus our efforts on building up the organization, making us stronger than ever, and of greater value to all members of the community. This is your chance to really make a difference. We know that not everyone can take on this challenge, and we certainly welcome any and all donations that can move us forward over these months. Back when our AGM was planned for March, this was not part of my script, but tough times call for miracles and offers opportunity for those able to make a difference. I believe that such generosity is deserving of recognition. Recognition actually strengthens an organization. So here is what I'd like to offer to those who are in a position to step forward at this time. Any person or business who is able to rise to the occasion and make this commitment of 10,000 pesos per month through the end of the year, we will produce a tribute table to each of you. This will be one of those gorgeous tile top tables with 2 chairs each that will have a plaque in the middle with your name on or your company name on it. With COVID-19, we have a need for more seating options around the campus. Your table will bring comfort and appreciation to our members for many years to come. I will step up and commit to be the first one to take on this challenge. If you are in a position to be able to help us at this time, please send me an email directly to my email address or reach out to me. You can even use your chat feature on your screen and send us a chat message now to say you are in and we can count on you. Larry, myself, and the entire new board of the directors are absolutely committed to getting us through these tough days. We believe that brighter days are ahead. And when we get to the other side, we will be a much stronger organization that offers far more benefit to all of us and our overall community. We thank you very much for your time and commitment.
Yes, Steve, I would like to move that the membership accept the LCS 2.0 long-range plan as proposed and the board's commitment to provide regular updates on progress and to solicit input from our members.
And I'll second that. You can see the ballot on your screen. Please vote yay or nay. Thank you very much for your support. Votes are still coming in. Remember to hit the submit button when you're done voting. Okay, we're about to close the polls. The voting is now closed. We will end the poll and share the results. The results are 86A and 2 nay. The motion is carried. I would now like to ask George Radford, our secretary, to come on, and we'll need his audio unmuted so he can speak. And he has a very special words that he'd like to say about somebody that's very special to all of us. George?
Okay, great. The wonders of modern technology. I'm actually rather pleased that everything went so well today. In closing, I just wanted to give some recognition to someone that everyone knows, I think, in the community. You've seen her face on articles in Conexiones magazine, on the LCS website, in emails, providing information or soliciting donations, etc. Of course, I'm talking about Carol Wolf, our past president. Carol's devoted many years, 4 years as secretary, 2 years as president to the LCS, and I think she's done an outstanding job. Her commitment was beyond question. She's put many hours in. It might interest you to know that her other part-time job, president of the Rotary Club, I believe someone occupying 2 senior executive positions and doing a great job that's our Carol. So on behalf of myself, on behalf of the board, and I'm sure on behalf of the membership, I just wanted to extend our heartfelt thanks to Carol for her dedication and her contributions to the LCS, and we want to wish her every success and the best of health in all her new endeavors. So, Carol, thank you very much. You're a sweetheart.
All right, and we haven't figured out a way to send flowers over Zoom, so we'll deliver the flowers directly to Carol's home afterwards. And now
I think Carol would like donuts.
And now our vice president.
The membership is,
Now our vice
I was just
president.
going to say,
Okay. So now our vice president would like to make his favorite motion of the whole meeting. So if I can ask Howard to make his motion.
It's my pleasure to have the honor to make a motion to adjourn this most interesting and productive annual general meeting.
And do we have a second? Oops, see a whole bunch of seconds coming in. I guess people really want to end this. Anyway, so our second is Richard Chase. We'll put you down as our second on this. We'll now launch the poll, and you may vote on your screen. And while this vote is continuing, I'd just like to offer a tremendous thank you to the many people that helped put this together. It's quite a production here in our command center. We have Alfredo, Deanna, Damitsu, and myself, and we're operating on, let's see, 9 computers here, and that's why all the jumping back and forth. Each computer does a different function, and trying to put all the feeds and everything together. So I want to thank them for their tremendous support in making this possible. To the board members that played a key role in presentations, Carol Wolf, Larry Barnhart, Tim Boardman, George Radford, Brian Dalzell, thank you so much for all your effort you put into putting together this, and Nancy Creven, who ran our elections, which is a great undertaking. So thank you so much. And it looks like everybody has voted, so I'm going to be closing down this poll now, and we have 89 A's and 0 nays. Well, what would ever happen if we got more nays than yays? But anyway, this meeting is officially over. Thank you so much for joining us, and please stay safe.